Very good morning, dear students. So, as I told you yesterday, that I'll be taking up the critical introduction of the play. So, here it is, The Tempest by William Shakespeare. So, here are the important facts about the play. The genre to which the play belongs to, it's a comedy, and in the coming times, let us say in the modern era, some critics have also called it as a romance. And this play was written in the year, has been written during the year 1610 to 1611. The language that is used is Elizabethan English, and the date of publication is 1623, and it has been published in first folio. Now, this first folio is the um, collection of almost 20 plays by William Shakespeare, and it contains his significant works, right? So, a particular collection has been given this title, and it is in the form of the book. That is why I have italicized it. And the place of publication of the play is England, and there have been significant times when this play has been performed. The first one was November 1st, 1611, before it was performed before King James I, and it was also performed in the winter of 1612 to 13 to celebrate marriage of Princess Elizabeth, who was the daughter of James, King James I, right? So these are the significant things, but you should always remember that when you talk of The Tempest, the date of publication is 1623. And why they are saying that it is written between 1610 and 11 is there is a probability, because when the sources came, how or what inspired Shakespeare to write these plays, right? So here is the source. It is generally believed that a shipwreck had taken place in the island of Bermuda, and these were, written by William Strachey in his work, and that became an inspiration for William Shakespeare to write this play. So, William Strachey's A True Repertory of Wreck and Redemption of Sir Thomas Gates Knight. So, this is the name of the book in which Strachey wrote his experience of the shipwreck. An eyewitness report of the real life shipwreck of the Sea Venture in 1609 on the island of Bermuda. So, if you read at places, you'll always find that the shipwreck at the Bermuda Island is an inspiration for Shakespeare for this play. So, of Bermuda, while sailing towards Virginia, may be considered a primary source for the opening of the scene, as well as few other references in the play. So, this incident has been reported in a private letter, and the name of the letter is Letter to an Excellent Lady. Now, before I go further with the elements, picking up the various elements that relate to the play, I would first discuss a little story of what The Tempest is all about, and then we shall come back to these unities. Now, you see, the title over here means, what is Tempest? The tempest is a violent storm, that is the literal meaning of the word tempest. And what happens in the play Tempest? There is, as the play opens, our main character or the protagonist is Prospero, right? And he was once upon a time the Duke of Milan, right? And he lives on let us say, a secluded island with his daughter Miranda, right? Now, why do they live here? Because 12 years back, almost 12 years back. They were um, 12 years back. What happened? The action of the play starts. How it starts? 12 years back. Prospero's kingdom was, let us say, illegally snatched or taken away by his brother, Prospero's brother, Antonio. Right? And just a second. And who helped him in this? His name is Alonso. He was the king of Naples. So with his help, Prospero's brother Antonio, he ditched him, and Antonio became the king of Milan. And unfortunately, Prospero and Miranda have to live in a secluded island, right? And this particular island, only these two people live, and there are two more characters. One is Caliban, who is the slave of Prospero, and another, what Prospero has done, he has conjured a local spirit, and his name is Ariel, right? So these two both are servants, but this fellow is a local spirit which Prospero has conjured, right? Now, what happens next? After some time, even in the very first act, Shakespeare tells us that he sees, Prospero sees that Antonio is passing by. So Prospero has already conjured this spirit. So it means he has some powers of magic with him, Prospero, right? So with the help of magic, he conjures up a storm, right? Right? And what happened? The ship gets destroyed. Ship is wrecked, you can say. Okay? And the people, of course, they don't die, but the passengers, you can say, they are shipwrecked. And with the help of magic, again, what Prospero does is he separates them into in different kinds of group. And very smartly, the most important event, let us say, that happens here with the help of magic is that his daughter Miranda and Ferdinand, who is Alonso's son, right? They fall in love, Ferdinand and Miranda, and this too has happened with the help of magic. Then there are other people, whom he separates, and he uses Ariel, of course, his magic and his own magic powers to separate all these people in some way or the other. And by the act 4, we come to know that now the marriage between these two people is about to happen. Miranda is almost 15 now, and he wants to get them married. So see, the whole purpose, what is the purpose behind Prospero doing all this? He wants to take revenge on his brother, number one, and he wants to restore his crown. He wants to become back the Duke of Milan. So, uh, in the Act 4, with the help of uh, the mask, dramatic element, not dramatic element, we will call it um, a dramatic, not element, this is, it is a dramatic instrument. That is how mask is used by um, um, Shakespeare. He has used mask as a what we call, yeah, a dramatic literary device. I was not getting the word. T-E-R-A-R-Y. So it's as a literary device he uses it, and it becomes a play within a play. That's what a mask is. I'll deal with it later. Let me just come to the conclusion of the storyline. So eventually, the mask, there are certain goddesses, like Juno, Ceres, and Iris. They feature here, and they all come to bless whom? Their marriage, right? So, and the mask is also used by Shakespeare to bring about the value and what we call the significance of love, right? And such elements are what make this play also to be a part of the Yonner romance, right? So towards the end, where the mask takes, not the mask, sorry, what takes place, your epilogue, so in the epilogue, towards the end of the play, let us say in the Act 5, Prospero, he forgives everyone, right? He forgives Alonso, Antonio, his brother, and Sebastian also, right? And obviously, he has used his magic as a power to do all this. And in a what will we say, a way of gratitude, to present his gratitude to whom? Ariel. He says that if everything wells turn out, if everything falls into place, he will, as gratitude, he will free Ariel. He will no more be Prospero's servant. So, in the end, the title of Duke of Milan is saved. Prospero becomes, the throne is restored to him, right? And Ariel is set free, as was promised by Prospero, right? So with this, as the play ends on a happy note. That is what makes it a comedy. So there are various comic elements which have been used by Shakespeare to enhance the what we call the comic relief in the play. Okay, so this was a small gist of what the play is all about. Now we can get back to the unities, so how Shakespeare has done it. Now, when I was discussing the elements, I told you that the unities of time, place, and action have been given by Aristotle in his Poetics. So, Aristotle argued in his Poetics, that unity of action was essential for dramatic structure. This meant that a dramatic work should have a clear beginning, middle, and end. The unity of time is derived from Aristotle's argument that all action should occur within one revolution of the sun, that is, in one day. So we can say that, of course, in the Tempest, everything, the events, they have happened in 3 hours span. And the unity of place developed later is a Renaissance idea which held that location of the play should be limited to one place. Here also it is limited to one place. Initially, the play starts the scene. The first scene takes place on a ship at a sea during a tempest, and the rest of the story is set on a remote island. These unities made it easier for the audience. So why these unities were used? These were used so that for the audience it became easier to understand what is happening on the stage exactly, to understand that, right? So when we talk of the setting and unity of the play under study, setting I've already told you. Now unities, Shakespeare roughly adheres to the unity. You cannot say that he is completely following the unity is given by Aristotle in Poetics, but he is, of course, adhering to it. Say, for instance, time is real time, 3 hours mein events are clubbing up. Action is one unified plot. There are not various plots that are attached to it. There is just one plot which is running through the story. And the place is a fictional island which is considered by many critics to be the Mediterranean Sea. So here are the important characters that are given. This you can go through. Now a brief of the structure, how the play has been structured by Shakespeare, So it is considered as his shortest as well as his last play. Please remember that, it is considered that in that manner. So he maintains the integrity of 5-act structure. In fact, most Elizabethan theatres adheres to the 5-act structure which corresponds to division in the action. So the exposition is the first thing. Now, do we have a proper exposition in the Tempest? Yes. In which the playwright set forth the problem and introduces the main character. So what is happening in the Tempest in the first act? The first act establishes the nature of Antonio's betrayal of Prospero, and it explains how Prospero and Miranda came to live on the island. This first act also opens with a violent storm which establishes the extent of Prospero's power. So see how strong he has gone with it. The magical power. Most of the play's remaining characters also make an appearance in this act. Then in the second act, you can see the complication in which the entanglement or the conflict is developed. In the Tempest, the conspiracy to murder Alonso is developed, which establishes that Antonio is still an unsavory character. In addition, the audience learn more about Caliban, Stefano, Tranquillo appear, allowing the groundwork for a second conspiracy to be formed. In the third act, the climax takes place, and as the name suggests, the action takes a turning point and the crisis occurs. In a romance, there is a point at which young lovers assert their love, although there may be complications. It is important that the way to love not be too easy, and so in the Tempest, Prospero has forbidden contact between Miranda and Ferdinand, although the audience know this is only a pretense. In this act, the conspiracy to murder Prospero is developed, although the audience knows that Ariel is listening, and so there is no real danger. And finally, the essential climactic moment occurs in the act when Prospero confronts his enemy at the ghostly banquet. The fourth act is the falling action, which signals the beginning of the play's resolution, the coming to the end, the happening or the closure of the events, let us say. In this act, the romance between Ferdinand and Miranda is acknowledged and celebrated with a masque, and Prospero deals with conspiracy to murder him by punishing Caliban, Stefano, and Tranquillo. And the fifth act is called the catastrophe, wherein the conclusion occurs. As the name suggests, this act brings closure to the play, a resolution to the conflict, and the plans for a wedding. So everything is turns out to be good. Everything settles out. Whatever complications, whatever problems were there, everything comes to a settle down. everything comes to a resolution. So as the play draws to a close, Prospero is victorious over his enemies. Ferdinand is reunited with his father Antonio, and Ferdinand is reunited with his father. Antonio and Sebastian are vanquished, and Caliban regrets for plotting. So every person who has done the wrong is regretting what they did wrong, and uh, every aspect of romance and loves come to a flowering by the end of the play. So, on a larger context, on a larger note, we can say that these are the four major themes of the play. Whereas magic being the most important and most significant, betrayal, revenge, family would come somehow be interrelated, and you can work on it accordingly. So once we are done with the reading of the text, we can get into these details. And lastly, the literary devices that are used over here. One is mask, which I've already told you, that is, it is a play within a play. And then the epilogue. Shakespeare has used to tie up the loose ends and clarify any issues that remain unresolved in the play, So in the epilogue, when I shared the story with you, a gist of the story, I told you that everything comes to a settle down in the act 5, in the act 5th of the play. And lastly, a Lucky. There are many times when Ariel will come and tell you many things what is about to happen or what is happening. So a character coming to the stage and talking to the audience all alone is a Lucky that we generally use, or that is generally used by the dramatists as a literary device. So I hope it's a comprehensive discussion as far as the introduction, as far as, let us say, the critical aspects of the play are concerned. So that is all for today. We will continue with the detailed text in the next class. Thank you.